Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, transforming the way people think and work so their organizations can thrive. Well, hi everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and today's episode is cut from another podcast of which I am the co-host, The Soul of Enterprise, which is also sponsored by Sage. The Soul of Enterprise is dedicated to belief that business has a spiritual, though not necessarily religious, component. I hope you enjoy this excerpt. If you do, please visit www.thesoulofenterprise.com for more.
Because it's not working in its current format. It is, driven by commodity-based RFPs, and we're not a commoditized profession. We are a strategic and creative profession. We offer creative professional services, and we needed a methodology to showcase that. And so what has been happening for, I would say, the past 10, 15, 20 years, mostly in the last 10 years, I think directly, is that procurement has really been trying to use a commodity-based search tool to source agency services. And what it has done has fundamentally not been great for clients in the end. And so we feel that that is the beginning of the relationship, right? And so we want to keep that relationship between an agency and a client a partnership. We want to keep it strategic. And what procurement has been doing by using commodity-based sourcing solutions has really been to make that a transactional relationship. And that hasn't been great for marketing.
Yeah, that's a great point. You do a wonderful job in the report of tearing down the price-based RFP process. And you've probably heard us talk about the author of Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play. His name is Mohan Khalsa. He's got a line in his book that he thinks dysfunctional buying processes resulted from dysfunctional selling processes. And I can't think of anything more dysfunctional than the billable hour. Mm-hmm. And that is something that we as professionals foisted onto the customer. The customer didn't ask for it. And Tim Williams has a great saying. He says, if you want to avoid procurement, stop selling things that can be procured. What do you think about that?
And I think that's absolutely true. And I think I love that you brought in the value-based pricing, because that was one of the elements that I really wanted to make sure was in the guide, because they are so linked. And again, value-based pricing is not about charging more, but it's about showcasing that you're intently focused on that client reaching their goals and their outcomes. And it's about shifting it from inputs to outcomes. And that's what we're trying to get people on that journey. And procurement, let's be honest, when they look at a number that's uneven, they think it's a formula, and they will do everything that they can in their power to rip that formula apart, try and dissect it and see how they can find some cost savings in there, reduce hours on roles that they think are arbitrary. But you made a really great point, Ron, in that there's some amateur selling out there, and that's a part of the problem. We're up against professional buyers, but the issue that I think we want to make known is that procurement's not operating under any bad intent. No one's saying that they're going after our industry to just, downgrade it in any way. I can't say enough, there's no bad intent. But what I realized was that they just didn't know any better. So when you look at how procurement are trained in the art of sourcing, it really is with direct products and services. And so we are not only indirect, but we're even a subset of indirect, where we're talking about things that are custom, complex, and costly. And in a lot of respects, what we bring to the table is also critical. You're at the point where you need to fundamentally change things, either from a brand perspective or just build up your sales. And so, we wanted to put a tool in the hand of procurement to help them understand that there's a difference in the way that you procure something that is direct and the way you procure something that is creative professional service.
Right. And you landed on this qualifications-based selection process, which was developed decades ago in engineering and architecture. Is that right?
Isn't that amazing? It
It
has
is.
been around for decades. It's going to come up on its 50th anniversary in another year or so. And so it's not anything that we came up with ourselves. We didn't invent it. It was already out there, and it was put into legislation back in 1972 by a representative named Jack Brooks out of Texas. And it was based on a really simple premise that it wasn't the hurricane or the tornado or the earthquake that was killing people, but it was the poorly constructed buildings. And so what they realized was that price was a determinant in these architects and engineers getting these public infrastructure projects. And that was really the problem. There were low cost bids, and that the firm was being chosen based on price rather than based on whether they were able to do the project. So it is essentially, we need to make sure that there's qualifications. And why qualifications? Why interrogate qualifications? Because it shows that firm can replicate success. And that is what the most important thing is. So it is really just a selection process that's based on, tell me what your qualifications are and what you did previously. How can you do that again?
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.